Eva sat on the edge of her bed, the small room feeling emptier than ever. On her desk, a framed photo stared back at her, herself and her best friend Leo, laughing under the golden afternoon sun. He had moved to another city 6 months ago, chasing a dream of building a new life. At first, they talked every day, but over time, messages grew shorter, replies slower. Eva missed the ease of their old friendship, the way he knew exactly what to say to make her smile. Her heart ached with distance, and she did not know how to reach him again. Each morning, Eva opened her laptop, hovering her fingers above the keyboard. She typed out cheerful messages, then deleted them. She worried he would think her needy or upset. She wondered if he still cared as much as she did. Late at night, she would stare at the empty space beside her pillow, imagining his voice calling her name. She remembered their adventures, climbing rooftops to watch fireworks, sharing secrets under starry skies, cheering each other on when life felt hard. Those memories gave her warmth, but also a dull sadness. At school, Eva found it hard to focus. Every time her phone buzzed, her heart leapt only to sink when the name on the screen wasn't his. Her classmates talked about weekend plans and new romances. Eva felt like she lived in two worlds, one bright with possibility and another gray with loneliness. She tried to throw herself into new hobbies: painting, running, reading, but none filled the space Leo left behind. Still, she kept going. She told herself that true friendship could survive time and distance. That hope urged her to find a way back. One afternoon, Eva stumbled across a letter she had written Leo before he left. It was filled with silly jokes. In bold promises, we will explore every planet in the universe someday, and no distance can ever tear us apart. She smiled through tears. Her promise had sounded foolish, but it had also felt fearless. That moment reminded her of something important. She had courage inside her, a spark that would not go out. She realized she could use that courage now. To bridge the gap between them, Eva decided to send Leo a care package. She gathered small things that reminded her of their friendship: a sketch she had made of them flying paper airplanes, a jar of local honey from the fair they once visited, and a playlist of songs they both loved. She wrote a new letter, honest and simple. I miss you. I'm proud of you. I hope you miss me too. She told him about her new painting class and how every brushstroke felt like a conversation with him. She sealed the box with a steady hand, feeling a flutter of excitement. At the post office, Eva carried the package carefully. The clerk weighed it and stamped the label with the faraway city's name. Eva paid and walked out into the sun, her chest light. She felt proud for taking the step. It was scary to send her feelings into the unknown, but she trusted that Leo's heart would guide the package back to hers in spirit. She knew she had done all she could. Now, all that remained was to wait and hope. Back at home, Eva set her phone on the desk, the package receipt next to it. Every day, she checked the tracking number. She reminded herself to keep living fully, to laugh with friends at school, to practice her painting, to run along the riverbank at dawn. She believed in action and resilience and letting each moment shine. She repeated to herself, I am brave, I am patient. Each morning, as sunlight filled her room, she felt that promise grow stronger. 2 weeks later, a thin envelope arrived. Eva's hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a photo of Leo standing on a city balcony, the skyline behind him. Wore a shy grin and held up the jar of honey she had sent. His letter read, Your gift reminds me of home and of us. I have missed you more than I knew. I'm proud to call you my best friend. Let's keep growing, even from afar. Tears of joy filled Eva's eyes. She pressed the photo against her heart. The distance had not broken that Mitt had made their friendship stronger. And in that moment, Eva saw clearly that hope and the courage to act could close any gap between two hearts. Leo stared out the airplane window as the clouds drifted below him. His new city spread out like a glittering tapestry of lights. He had accepted this job offer to build a better future, but now that he was here, he felt a sharp tug in his chest. He missed Eva, his oldest friend, more than he had expected. Their daily messages had grown quiet, and the distance between them felt heavier than the miles on the map. In his small apartment, Leo sat at the kitchen table each morning with a mug of tea. He would open his phone and scroll through old photos of him and Eva exploring their hometown. There they were, chasing fireworks up on rooftops, laughing so hard they could barely stand. He remembered how she always believed in him, even when he doubted himself. Now he saw her face and felt the weight of silence they had let grow between them. At the office, Leo worked on designs for a new bridge that would connect to riverbanks. Engineers praised his technical skill, but he often found his mind wandering to Ava's bright smile. He was worried she thought he had forgotten her. He longed to hear her voice, to share a laugh, or to know how her painting class was going. But every time he tried to call her, his courage faltered. What if she was too busy? What if she had found new friends and no longer needed him? One evening, after a long day at work, Leo walked through a busy market. Vendors called out their wares, and the air smelled of spices and freshly baked bread. He stopped at a stall selling postcards of the city's skyline. On impulse, he bought a stack. Maybe, he thought, small steps are better than none. He picked a card with a glowing bridge at dusk and wrote a short note. Eva, I miss you. This place reminds me of our night walks by the river. I hope you are well. He added a doodle of two stick figures holding hands under a firework. That night, Leo mailed the postcard to Ava's address. His heart raced as he dropped it in the mailbox. It felt hopeful, like sending a message across the stars. He told himself that this small note would remind Eva that he still cared. It was a simple act, but Leo felt proud for trying. Days passed. Leo checked his phone often, hoping for a message in return. When nothing came, his old doubts returned. He wondered if he had done something wrong or if Eva had moved on. He felt a familiar pang of longing and uncertainty. Still, he did not give up. He told himself that true friendship was worth patience. The next weekend, Leo found a quiet cafe near the river. He ordered coffee and took out a little notebook. He began to sketch the bridge he was designing. As he drew, he imagined Eva sitting beside him, commenting on every line. He wrote in the margin, "We will meet here someday, and we will watch the sunset from the top." The words filled him with gentle warmth. On Monday, Leo arrived at the office to find an unexpected brown envelope. On his desk, his heart thumped as he opened it. A letter from Eva. She had sent her own drawing of her in a painting studio, and a small painting of him standing on a bridge under the moonlight. Her note read, "Your postcard made me smile every day. I've missed our talks. I want to hear your voice. Let's have a video call this Saturday at sunset. Your time, my morning." Leo's eyes filled with happiness. The distance between them felt smaller already. That evening, Leo prepared for the video call. He cleared his desk, arranged a vase of fresh flowers, and checked his internet connection. When Saturday arrived, he logged on early and saw Ava's face appear on the screen. She looked bright and animated, her painting brushes on the table behind her. They both smiled in a moment of pure joy. They talked for hours. Leo shared stories of the market and the bridge, and Eva showed him her latest canvases. They laughed as if no time had passed. When the call ended, Leo felt light and confident again. He realized that courage meant reaching out, even when it felt scary. In the weeks that followed, Leo and Eva built new rhythms. They scheduled calls, sent care packages, and even planned a visit when schedules allowed. Leo felt hopeful, knowing that distance could not break a bond grounded in kindness and effort. He carried their friendship in his heart, a bright flame, guiding him through every busy day. One crisp morning, as Leo crossed his new bridge to work, he thought of Eva painting by her riverbank at home. He raised his hand in a quiet wave to the river below, imagining she saw it. In that small gesture, he felt their connection span the miles. Though they lived in different cities, they were together in spirit, proof that hope and human strength could overcome any distance. ChatGPT said, Mark stood at the edge of the empty playground, the swings moving gently in the breeze. He remembered how he and his sister Nina used to race here every afternoon. They would laugh as they swung high, dreaming up worlds of adventure. But 2 months ago, Nina's family moved across the country for her father's new job. Since then, Mark's life had felt hollow. He missed her laughter, her courageous spirit, and the way she believed in him. Now, every creak of the swing reminded him of what he had lost and what he needed to find again.
At home.
Each morning, Mark reached for his phone with hope. But his heart sank when he saw no message from Nina. Their daily video chats had stopped. He imagined her busy making new friends, exploring unfamiliar streets. A small knot of fear tightened in his chest. What if she had forgotten him? What if the miles had changed what they shared? Despite the doubts, Mark refused to give up. He carried the memory of Nina's bravery, how she once faced her fear of heights. To climb the playground slide, and he vowed to show that same strength now. During school lunch breaks, Mark sat under the old oak tree alone, watched classmates chat and plan weekend trips with siblings. Each laugh felt like a reminder of Nina's absence. He tried joining their conversations, but he always felt one step removed. Still, Mark kept trying. He told himself that every effort mattered, that true bonds could survive time and change. He refused to let sadness freeze his spirit. Instead, he scribbled notes in his notebook, ideas for how to reach Nina and remind her of their friendship's power. One evening, Mark found a worn-out comic book they both loved, tucked away in the attic. He flipped through the pages of the hero who never gave up, no matter how dark the challenge. That hero reminded Mark of Nina and of himself. A spark of hope lit in his mind. He would create a shared memory to bridge the distance, gathered art supplies, colored pencils, markers, and a stack of blank postcards. He sketched scenes of their favorite adventures, climbing the highest slide, chasing fireflies at dusk, building snow forts, and wrote little notes of courage beside each drawing. The next day, Mark slipped the postcards into bright envelopes. He addressed each one to Nina's new home. With a deep breath, he placed them at the front desk of their local post office. As he handed over the letters, he felt his chest swell with pride. He was sending bits of himself across the miles, trusting that Nina would catch them and send some of her own back. Doing something brave, even small, made him feel alive again. He believed that every act of hope could travel farther than any distance. Back home, Mark set a calendar reminder for when the postcard should arrive. Each morning, he opened his curtains and looked toward the horizon, imagining Nina reading his words and smiling. He practiced resilience. When a day passed without a reply, he reminded himself that good things sometimes take time. He focused on his own life, to helping neighbors carry groceries, joining the school art club, and practicing the courage he drew in his postcards. Each kind act felt like adding strength to the invisible thread that tied him to Nina. 2 weeks later, a small package arrived at Mark's door. He tore it open with trembling fingers. Inside was a postcard from Nina, a bright sketch of her standing by a beach she now called home. Her handwriting curved along the edge. "Thank you, Mark. Your postcards made my days brighter. I miss our adventures, and I never forgot you. I send you a piece of my new world. Psst, let's keep sharing our stories." Welled in Mark's eyes. He pressed the card to his heart, feeling Nina's presence across the miles. That night, Mark sat at his desk and opened his notebook. He wrote back to Nina, promising new stories of his own, of the oak tree meetings, the art club's first exhibit, and the sunrise he watched this morning. He sealed the envelope, ready to send his hope back across the country. In that moment, Mark understood something powerful. Distance could test their bond, but human courage and hope could conquer any separation. And so, with steady hands and a brave heart, he trusted that their friendship would continue to grow. One postcard at a time. Aisha stared at the empty seat beside her at the community center. Every week, she and Omar had come here to learn coding. Together, they laughed over mistakes and cheered when they solved hard puzzles. But 6 weeks ago, Omar's family moved to another state. Now the blue chair waited for someone who no longer sat there, and Aisha felt a hollow ache inside her chest. Each evening after school, Aisha rushed to the center. She opened her laptop and booted up the coding program. She typed lines of code, but without Omar beside her, nothing felt right. She missed his quick smile when she found a bug, and the way he would say, "I tried turning it off and on again," in his playful voice. At home, she lay on her bed, scrolling through old photos of them working side by side. A single tear slipped down her cheek. She wanted to reconnect with Omar, but she did not know how. In class the next day, Aisha tried to focus on the teacher's lesson about loops and functions. Her pen hovered over her notebook, but her mind kept drifting to Omar. She pictured him clicking keys in a new classroom far away. She wondered if he was lonely too. When the teacher asked a question, Aisha raised her hand reflexively, but then she quickly lowered it. She felt shy about speaking out, and she worried her classmates would not care about her missing friend. That afternoon, Aisha found a small whiteboard in the storage room. An idea lit up in her mind. She could use a whiteboard to share messages for Omar. She grabbed colored markers and wrote, "Omar, we miss you. Let's code a new game together." Below, she drew their favorite robot character. She left the board outside the center where anyone could write replies. Then she went home, her heart pounding with hope. The next morning, Aisha hurried to see the whiteboard. Beneath her message, someone had written, "I miss Omar too," in green marker. Aisha's eyes widened. Then in blue, another note. "Let's send him this board by mail." A wave of excitement lifted her spirits. She realized that she did not have to find Omar alone. Others cared about him and wanted to reach him too. Aisha ran to her teacher, Ms. Patel, showed her the messages. Ms. Patel smiled. "What a lovely idea," she said. "Why not make a community letter for Omar? Let everyone write a memory or a drawing." Aisha agreed at once. In class the next day, Ms. Patel announced the plan. Students gathered around the whiteboard and wrote memories. "Remember when Omar beat the school record for typing speed? He helped me fix my code bugs. He always made stickers for our projects." Each message added color and warmth. After school, Aisha collected the board and brought it to the post office. She rolled it carefully, wrapped it in tube packaging, and addressed it to Omar's new home. She felt brave as she handed it over to the clerk. "This goes to Oakwood City in Maple County," the clerk confirmed. Aisha nodded. She knew the distance between them was real, but she also knew that love and hope could travel that distance. Back home, Aisha set a reminder on her phone to check for Omar's reply. Every day, she imagined him unrolling the board, reading the messages, and smiling. She did her homework with fresh energy, and she tried new coding challenges on her own. Each small success reminded her of Omar's encouragement and of her own. "Strength," she told herself. "I am determined. I will keep trying. Our bond cannot break." 3 weeks later, a thick envelope arrived for Aisha. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside was a rolled-up paper tube tied with a ribbon. Attached was a note in Omar's neat handwriting. "Dear Aisha and friends, your whiteboard brought tears to my eyes. It reminded me of our team spirit. I miss you all so much. I made something for you, a small game we can build together online. Please find the link below." Aisha unrolled the board and read the messages again, smiling through happy tears. That evening, Aisha clicked the link to Omar's game. The screen loaded a simple platformer they had once dreamed of, making a little robot running through colorful levels. Omar had coded the first level, and he invited Aisha to add her own designs. A warm rush filled her chest. She quickly grabbed her tablet and started sketching new backgrounds and obstacles. When she saved her work, Omar's voice came through on a video call. "Look at that art! You did amazing! They spent hours talking and coding together, just like before." The distance between their cities melted away as they shared ideas and laughter. Aisha realized that her hope and courage had helped bridge the gap. She had reached out first, and her friends had joined her. Together, they had shown that human creativity and connection can overcome any miles. From that day on, Aisha and Omar met every weekend online. They added new levels to their game, and they invited other friends to play. The empty chair at the community center felt less lonely, because Aisha knew her friend was only a click away. She had learned that even when someone moves far away, hope and human strength, FY could bring them back together. Nina sat at the edge of the school courtyard, tracing the cracks in the concrete with her fingertip. At this very spot, she and her cousin Mara used to share morning snacks. Mara had moved to another country 3 months ago, and since then, the courtyard felt too quiet. Nina missed Mara's laughter, her bright stories about new places, and the way she always encouraged Nina to try new things. Now Nina felt lost, unsure how to reach out across so many miles. Every afternoon after class, Nina opened her laptop and stared at her cousin's name in her chat list. Nina, she typed greetings. Hi Mara, how are you? A pause before hitting send. She worried that her messages might seem too simple, or that Mara had made new friends and was too busy to reply. So the messages stayed unsent, and week after week, the space between them felt wider. At home, Nina found it hard to concentrate on her homework. When her mother asked about her day, Nina forced a smile and said everything was fine. But that night, she would lie awake thinking of Mara's promise. One day, we will travel the world together. The promise felt like a distant star, beautiful but unreachable. Nina closed her eyes and reminded herself. She had hope inside her. Hope could guide her. One Saturday, while cleaning her room, Nina discovered an old voice recorder her grandfather had given her. It was dusty, but still worked. An idea sparked. In her mind, she could record stories and send them to Mara as a podcast. She could tell Mara about her day, share memories, and even read short poems they both loved. The thought filled Nina with excitement. She felt brave for finding a creative way to reconnect. That afternoon, Nina set up the recorder on her desk. She practiced introducing her mini podcast. Hello, Mara. This is your cousin Nina. Welcome to our memory moments. She hesitated, then pressed record. Her voice trembled at first, but as she spoke about the time they built a cardboard castle in the living room, her words grew steady and warm. She laughed softly as she described their battle against imaginary dragons. When she finished, she saved the audio file and labeled it Episode 1, Cardboard Castle. Next, Nina created an email account just for the podcast, with the address Memoryments at. She attached the file and wrote a simple note. Dear Mara, I missed our adventures. I hope this makes you smile. With one deep breath, she clicked send. A flutter of hope warmed her chest. For days, Nina waited. She tried to keep busy by helping her mother bake bread and by working on her school art project. But each time the phone buzzed, her heart leaped. When no email arrived, a dull ache returned. Still, she refused to give up. She reminded herself that patience was part of hope. 1 week later, an email notification flashed on Nina's screen. Subject: Memory Moments Episode 1. Her hands shook as she opened it. Mara's reply filled the page. Nina, hearing your voice made me so happy. I smiled all day. I want to hear more. Here's a recording of me in my new home, reading the poem we love. Attached was a second audio file, filled with Mara's warm voice. Nina pressed play and listened as Mara read lines about stars and dreams. Nina's eyes filled with tears of joy. The distance felt shorter in that moment. That evening, Nina rushed to her room and played Mara's recording over speakers. She felt as if Mara was sitting right beside her. Inspired, Nina began working on episode 2. She recorded herself talking about the new garden she and her mother planted, and how the first sunflower had opened like a golden sun. She ended by asking Mara to share a story of her own. When she emailed it, she felt proud. She realized that taking action, even small steps, could bring them closer. Over the next month, the two cousins exchanged episodes every week. They talked about school projects, new friends, and hopes for the future. Nina learned about Mara's city, its winding canals and floating markets. Mara laughed at Nina's description of the garden gnome that wore a tiny hat. Their voices carried across oceans, creating a bond stronger than any wall or sea. Back at school, Nina felt lighter. She popped in her earbuds during breaks and listened. To the latest episode Mara sent, classmates noticed her smile and asked what made her so happy. Nina shared her idea of the podcast, and soon a few friends asked if they could help record interviews for their families. Nina saw how one person's hope could inspire others. One afternoon, as Nina returned home from school, she found a package on the porch. Inside was a small box of tea leaves from Mara's country and a note. For our next episode, let's taste tea together. Record your reaction. Nina's heart soared. She brewed a cup and set up the recorder. When she took her first sip, she described the flavor earthy and sweet and how it made her think of Mara's home. She pressed stop and sent the new episode. That night, as Nina replayed her own recording, she felt a deep sense of achievement. She had found a way to bridge the distance. Her human creativity, courage, and hope had made it possible. Every voice recording, she and Mara had built an invisible bridge of stories and laughter. Nina knew that no matter how far apart they lived, their bond would continue to grow one podcast at a time. Asterisk. Alex sat on the porch swing as the sun slipped below the rooftops. He held a small paper airplane in his hand and stared at it, wondering if it could carry his feelings across the miles. His best friend Sophie had moved to another town 4 months ago. At first, they talked every day, but now her replies came slower and sometimes not at all. Alex felt a hollow ache in his chest. He missed her easy laughter and the way they shared secrets under the noon sun each morning. Alex woke early and checked his phone. He opened Sophie's chat, typed a cheerful message, "Good morning, how are you?" and then hesitated. If she had new friends? What if she did not need him anymore? He deleted the message and sighed. The silence between them felt heavier than the distance, yet he refused to give up. Reminded himself that humans were strong and creative, that hope could light the darkest path. At school, Alex found it hard to join group projects. When classmates laughed about weekend plans, he felt like an outsider. He tried to smile, but his heart felt empty without Sophie's voice in his ear. During lunch, he doodled airplanes and stars in his notebook, thinking of the paper plane they once launched together at the park. His pen traced the shape of the wings. He remembered how Sophie said it reminded her of freedom. That evening, Alex rummaged in his desk drawer and found his old camera. He and Sophie had loved taking photos together of trees in spring, of puddles on rainy days, and of the moonlit river by his house. An idea sparked. He would send Sophie a photo project. He could capture moments that reminded him of her and write small notes on each picture. Maybe seeing familiar scenes would make her remember their friendship. The next day, Alex set out with his camera at dawn, took a picture of the empty park bench where they used to sit. He snapped a shot of the old oak tree they climbed, paused by the river, and photographed the way the water caught the sunrise. Each image carried a memory. At home, he printed the photos and wrote on the backs, "I miss our morning talks here, and this tree still waits for us." He arranged the prints in a neat stack and tied them with twine. Alex wrote a letter to Sophie. "Dear Sophie, I hope these pictures bring you back to our days together. I miss you. I believe we can find our friendship again." He carefully folded the photos and letter into an envelope and dropped it in the mailbox. As the postman drove away, Alex felt a spark of courage. He had sent his heart into the world, trusting that it would find its way back. Days passed slowly. Alex focused on schoolwork and helped his neighbor Mrs. Lee carry groceries. He practiced resilience, reminding himself that patience was part of hope. Each morning, he imagined Sophie opening his envelope and smiling. He told himself that his actions showed human strength, his willingness to reach out despite fear. One afternoon, Alex found a small package on his doorstep. Inside was a bundle of photos, tied with pink ribbon. His heart pounded as he opened it. The first photo showed Sophie standing in front of her new house, holding one of the prints he had. Sent. On the back, she had written, "I set this in my window where I can see it every day." Another picture captured her new park bench, painted bright blue. Sophie's note read, "This bench reminded me of ours. I took a photo for you." At the end, Sophie wrote, "Your photos made me feel close to you again. Let's keep sharing our worlds." Alex's eyes filled with tears of joy. He pressed the photo of Sophie next to his camera and felt her presence in the room. In that moment, he knew that hope and creativity could bridge any distance. He dialed her number with steady hands. When Sophie answered, her voice was warm and excited. They talked for hours about the photos, the mornings, and the memories they still treasured over the next weeks. Alex and Sophie exchanged photos and ideas. They set a plan to start a shared online album where they could post images of their towns. Alex captured summer festivals and street art, while Sophie photographed a garden that grew behind her new home. Each photo came with a message of care and hope. Their friendship grew stronger, enriched by new stories and old memories. One evening, Alex stood on the same porch swing, looking at the stars. He pulled out his phone and opened their shared album. He scrolled through photo after photo, a bridge over his river, a sunflower in her garden, a paper airplane in mid-flight. Their connection shone brighter than any constellation. Alex smiled, knowing that human. Jade sat on the steps of her front porch, watching the sky darken. Her best friend Sam had moved to another state 2 months ago. At first, they texted every day, but lately, Sam's replies came slower. Jade felt a weight in her chest, as if a piece of her had gone with Sam. She missed their long talks about dreams, their shared jokes, and the way Sam always made her feel brave. Now Jade cared so much that she did not know how to reach across the miles. Each morning, Jade opened her phone with hope. She typed good morning, but deleted the words. She worried Sam was busy with school and new friends. She did not want to seem needy. At lunch, she sat alone under the big oak tree where they once ate together. She stared at the empty bench and felt her heart ache. But she remembered Sam's favorite phrase, "Do the next brave thing." Jade took a deep breath and told herself that she could find a way. That afternoon, Jade gathered old movie tickets they had kept in a shoebox. There were tickets from the Summer Film Festival, the late-night horror movie, and the animated space adventure they loved. An idea sparked in her mind. She would host a virtual movie night for Sam. They could watch the same film at the same time and talk on video chat. The thought made her chest fill with excitement. It was small, but it felt courageous. Jade sent Sam a message. "Hey Sam, I have an idea. Let's pick a movie and watch it together online this Friday at 7 p.m. your time. We can chat and laugh like old times. What do you think?" She held her breath and waited. The hours felt long, but she reminded herself that hope was stronger than fear. When Friday came, Jade set up her laptop on the coffee table. She arranged pillows on the couch and made popcorn. She wrote movie night on a small whiteboard and propped it next to the computer. Her heart pounded as the clock ticked toward 7. At exactly 7 p.m., Sam's video window appeared on the screen. Sam waved, looking surprised and happy. "This is so fun," Sam said. "I've missed you." They clicked play at the same time. As the opening credits rolled, Jade felt warmth spread through her chest. She paused the movie at funny parts to laugh and comment. They talked about the characters and remembered when they saw the film on the big screen. Jade realized how simple it was to bridge the distance with shared moments. She felt proud of herself for taking the initiative. After the movie ended, they stayed on video chat. Jade showed Sam the oak tree outside her window. Sam shared a view of the new backyard garden. They told each other about their weeks. Sam's first school project, Jade's painting class successes. Each story carried genuine interest and care. The silence that used to feel heavy turned gentle as they listened. Jade discovered that true friendship could fill empty spaces, even over video. When the call ended, Jade felt light and happy. She closed her laptop but left the whiteboard out. She wrote a new note. "Thank you, Sam. Let's do this every month." Then she cleaned up the popcorn bowls, humming a tune. She understood that reconnecting did not need grand gestures, just willingness to try and share. Over the next weeks, Jade and Sam held 2 more movie nights and even started a small book club of just the 2 of them. Each time, Jade set up her laptop and felt a flutter of excitement. She saw that her human determination and creativity, her HFY strength, could overcome distance. She had found a way to blend technology with heart. To keep their bond strong, one morning, Jade checked her mailbox and found a letter in Sam's neat handwriting. Inside was a printed photo from their last movie night, them on video, smiling wide. Sam's note read, "Thank you for never giving up on us. You remind me that our friendship is real. I'm proud to have you as my best friend." Tears of joy filled Jade's eyes. She pressed the photo to her heart and whispered, We did it. From then on, Jade knew that whenever she felt lonely, she could take the next brave thing. She carried that lesson into every day, reaching out to old friends, trying new ideas, and believing that hope could travel any distance. And each time she felt the miles between her and Sam, she thought of their shared screen. The laughter and the promise that their friendship would always be just a call away. Maya sat by the window, watching raindrops race down the glass. The weather felt fitting as her best friend Elijah had moved 2 months ago to a distant city. Their daily calls had become rare whispers, and their shared laughter now echoed only in Maya's memories. She missed Elijah's easy smile and the way he always cheered her on. Each day felt heavier without his voice. That morning, Maya found an old friendship bracelet they had made together. Its beads were faded but still held meaning. She traced the pattern with her finger and remembered how they chose each bead for its special color. The bracelet reminded her of their promise to be honest and brave. An idea sparked inside her. She would send Elijah a new bracelet with colors that told their story. Maya gathered beads from her art box: blue for friendship, green for growth, yellow for hope, and purple for dreams. She strung them carefully, humming softly. With each bead she thought of a shared moment: the park where they raced bikes, the cafe where they drank hot cocoa, the library where they discovered favorite books. When she finished, the bracelet felt like a promise in her hand. She wrote a letter on crisp paper. "Dear Elijah, I miss you. I still believe in us and our dreams. I made this for you, so you remember me each day." Maya folded the bracelet inside and sealed the envelope. As she dropped it in the mailbox, her heart fluttered. She felt proud for taking the step, even though she did not know how Elijah would react. Back home, Maya set her phone beside her bed and kept checking the mail tracker. During the day, she focused on her work at the community garden. She and Elijah used to plant seeds together on weekends. Now she watered rows of tomatoes alone, thinking of how he would tease her when she overwatered. She laughed quietly, feeling closer to him with each watering can splash. One afternoon, Maya's phone rang. She held her breath as she saw Elijah on the screen. She answered. His voice came soft at first. "Hey, Maya?" She smiled through tears. Elijah said he had found the package on his doorstep, and that the beads felt like sunshine on a rainy day. He told her how he wore the bracelet every morning, touching it when he needed courage. Their conversation grew warm and easy again. Elijah shared stories of his new school, the friends he made, the clubs he joined, and the rainy days that brought back memories of Maya's garden. Maya listened and laughed, feeling the distance shrank. She told him about her art project, a mural she was painting to honor the garden's volunteers. Elijah said he could send her a photo of his drawings, and they could exchange art across the miles. In the weeks that followed, Maya and Elijah built a new routine. Every Sunday afternoon, they met on video call to share art and garden updates. Maya set up her phone beside her easel, and Elijah placed his phone on his sketchbook. They painted side by side, choosing colors that matched their moods. Sometimes Maya painted sunflowers, and sometimes Elijah drew raindrops. Each stroke brought them closer. One evening, a small package arrived for Maya. Inside was a sketch Elijah had made of her tending the garden. With the mural behind her, at the bottom, he wrote, "For Maya, who brings color to every place." Maya's eyes filled with joy. She pinned the sketch on her wall beside the mural's photo. She felt grateful for human creativity and the courage to share their lives. That Sunday, on their video call, Maya surprised Elijah by holding up a fresh bouquet of sunflowers. "These are for you," she said. "Thank you for growing with me." Elijah beamed and held a vase of pressed flowers from his new town. They showed each other their bouquets and raised imaginary glasses. They laughed, toasting to friendship that survived distance and time. As the call ended, Maya closed her laptop and looked at the sky outside. The rain had stopped, and a single star shone through a gap in the clouds. She thought of Elijah, somewhere under the same sky, and felt hope swell inside her chest. She realized that no matter how far apart they lived, their hearts were connected by memory, creativity, and the courage to reach out. Maya touched her bracelet and whispered, we are stronger than Miles." She knew that this simple gift had begun their reconnection, and that they would keep finding new ways to share their lives. In that moment, she felt the full force of human strength chaff wand, the promise that hope could bridge any distance.